The following English idioms that we're going to be reviewing in today's video will enable you to speak English at the level of a native speaker at an advanced level. So are you ready to learn these English idioms? Of course you are, which is why you're sitting here watching this video as enthusiastically as you can. But before we continue with the rest of today's video, I kindly want you to like this video in support of this channel and help you with your English. You please help me with the growth of this YouTube channel, and thank you for doing so. Subscribe if you haven't done so yet, and leave a comment down below by telling me from which country you're watching these videos. Alright, now let me focus your attention on these 10 English idioms that you must know to be able to speak English like a native speaker in the exact same way as English native speakers do. Let's just start with the first one, which is through thick and thin. Through thick and thin. Through thick and thin. When you do something through thick and thin, you do it both in good and bad times, both in good and bad situations, or you do it both in difficulties or ease. You do it during the period of both difficulties and ease. You do it both in good and bad times. So to do something through thick and thin. An example. We've been friends through thick and thin for over a decade. We've been friends through thick and thin for over a decade. We've been friends through thick and thin for over a decade, which means we've been friends in both good and bad times, in both difficulties and during the period of ease, for over a decade, for well over 10 years. So, we've been friends through thick and thin means we've been friends both in good and bad times. Alright, now let's proceed to the next English idiom that, if you know, you can speak English at an advanced level or exactly like native speakers, which is to take something with a pinch of salt. To take something with a pinch of salt. To take something with a pinch of salt. When you take something with a pinch of salt, you don't actually take something seriously, or you don't believe something quickly. You doubt something. You try to be skeptical about something. You to think about whether something is true or not. You try to think about whether something is real or unreal. You should take his advice with a pinch of salt. He tends to exaggerate. You should take his advice with a pinch of salt. He tends to exaggerate. You should take his advice with a pinch of salt. He tends to exaggerate, which means you should not take his advice seriously. You should be skeptical about his advice. You should doubt his advice because he usually exaggerates like regularly, on a regular basis. So he's not that reliable, or to say the least, his advice is not as valid and as reliable as you think it is. So you better not take his advice too seriously. Just spend time thinking about his advice, spend time analyzing his advice to make sure that you're making the right decision about it, or to make sure that his advice is exactly what you're looking for. So take it with a pinch of salt. He tends to exaggerate, which means his advice is not as valid and reliable as you think. The third English idiom that I highly recommend that you should know to be able to take your English to the next level by speaking English at the same level as native speakers do is to break the ice. To break the ice. To break the ice. To break the ice. What is the meaning of breaking the ice? Well, what exactly happens when someone breaks the ice? Do they actually break the ice? Do they cut, I don't know, some kind of ice into two equal pieces? Well, the answer is no. When you break the ice, you start a conversation, especially in a group of people, when everyone is nervous or uncomfortable. So when you break the ice, you start a conversation. You say something which results in you starting a conversation among some people or in a group of people, especially when other people are nervous, shy, or uncomfortable enough to avoid starting a conversation with others. So when you are the one who breaks the ice, you're actually the one who starts a conversation in a group of people, among some people, and leads to other people talking to one another. Let me give you an example. He told a joke to break the ice at the meeting. He told a joke to break the ice at the meeting. He told a joke to break the ice at the meeting, which means he told a joke to start a conversation at the meeting with other people, because the other people at the meeting were shy, nervous, or were uncomfortable and were not courageous enough to start a conversation. So he was the one that said something. He was the one that started a conversation among all the people at the meeting by telling a joke. So he broke the ice. He told a joke and broke the ice at the meeting. Guys, are you usually the kind of person that is willing to break the ice in a group of people or among a number of people in order to start a conversation with others? Well, if you are, you should tell me how you do it, and if not, then you gotta tell me why you're not willing to break the ice. Comment the answers down below. The next English idiom that you should know to be able to speak English like a native speaker is to be on the ball. To be on the ball. To be on the ball. But what does it mean? When you're on the ball, you're knowledgeable, you're alert, or you're competent. So to be on the ball means to be knowledgeable, to be alert, or to be competent. An example. She's really on the ball with the latest trends. She's really on the ball with the latest trends. She's really on the ball with the latest trends, which means she's really knowledgeable about the latest trends. She's aware of the latest trends. She's pretty alert and she knows all about the latest trends, or she's updated on the recent or on the latest trends. So to be on the ball. The next English idiom commonly used by native speakers is to go back to a square one. To go back to a square one. To go back to square one. Can you guess the meaning of this idiom? I know it might be a bit difficult to guess the meaning of this idiomatic expression because it sounds a little bit strange. To go back to square one, what does it exactly mean? Well, when you go back to a square one, you return to the starting point of something that you did which led to failure. So when you go back to a square one, you return to the starting point of something that you've done that has led to some sort of failure. So to return to the origin, to return to the starting point of something that you've done that has failed, or that has led to failure, or that has met with failure. An example. After the project was rejected, we went back to square one. After the project was rejected, we went back to square one, which means after the project was rejected, we returned to the starting point of the action that led to failure, that met with failure. We went back to, or we returned to the starting point of something that we did that failed, or that led to failure. So after the project was rejected, we went back to square one. The next English idiom used by native speakers that I highly recommend that you should use too is the last straw. The last straw. The last straw. The last straw. But what does it mean? What does it exactly refer to? What is it trying to express? The last straw refers to the final, the ultimate problem or annoyance that makes someone give up, that leads to someone giving up, that drives, pushes, or leads someone to give up. Something annoying, something upsetting that happens that eventually makes you give up. Something that happens and you say, wow, enough is enough. That does it. I can't put up with it anymore. I can't tolerate it anymore. That is the last straw. So, the last straw refers to the final and ultimate problem or annoyance that leads to you giving up, or that results in you giving up, or that drives, pushes, and leads you to give up. An example: when he forgot my birthday, it was the last straw for me. When he forgot my birthday, it was the last straw for me. When he forgot my birthday, it was the last straw for me, which means when he forgot my birthday, it was the final and ultimate problem or annoyance that drove me, pushed me, and led me to break up with him. I didn't want to continue my relationship with him anymore because he forgot my birthday. Who, in a relationship with someone that they truly love, forgets their birthday? So him forgetting my birthday was the last straw, was the point at which I realized that I can no longer put up with his behavior, tolerate the way he behaves towards me, and decided to break up. When he forgot my birthday, it was the last straw for me. Now we're proceeding to the next English idiom that I highly recommend that you gotta know to be able to speak English in the exact same way as native speakers do, which is to hold your horses. To hold your horses. But what does it mean? When you hold your horses, you wait or try to be patient. So when someone holds their horses, they wait or try to be patient. Let me give you an example. Hold your horses. We need to check the details before proceeding. Hold your horses. We need to check the details before proceeding. Hold your horses. We need to check the details before proceeding, which means try to wait, try to be patient, try to stay as patient as you can. We need to check the details before proceeding. The next interesting English idiom commonly used by English speakers, native speakers, is off the cuff. Off the cuff. Off the cuff. To do something off the cuff. When you do something off the cuff, you do it without preparation. So to do something off the cuff means to do something without prior preparation. To do something without being prepared. So to do something off the cuff. An example: he started the conversation off the cuff and told us everything. He started the conversation off the cuff and told us everything. He started the conversation off the cuff and told us everything, which means he started the conversation without preparation and told us everything. Guys, is there anything that you've done off the cuff that has met with success or failure? What was it? Comment it down below. Why do you think it met with success? Why do you think you succeeded in doing it? Or why do you think you failed when you did it? Comment the answers down below. The very last time that you did something off the cuff that you met with failure. The very last time that you did something off the cuff that resulted in you meeting with failure or meeting with success. The next English idiom that I strongly recommend that you gotta learn to be able to get your level of English closer to that of native speakers is to turn a blind eye to something. To turn a blind eye to something. To turn a blind eye to something, which means to ignore something intentionally, to ignore something on purpose, to ignore something deliberately. An example: the manager turned a blind eye to the team's poor performance. The manager turned a blind eye to the team's poor performance. The manager turned a blind eye to the team's poor performance, which means the manager deliberately, intentionally, and on purpose ignored the team's poor performance. Guys, is there anything that you try to turn a blind eye to in your life? What is it? And why do you exactly like to turn a blind eye to it? Comment the answer down below. And the 10th English idiom of today's video that I strongly believe you should learn to take your English to the next level and sound like native speakers is to miss the boat. To miss the boat. To miss the boat. What does it mean when you miss the boat? To miss the boat means to miss an opportunity, to miss a golden opportunity. So when you miss the boat, you miss a golden opportunity. Let me give you an example. If you don't apply for the job now, you'll miss the boat. If you don't apply for the job now, you'll miss the boat. If you don't apply for the job now, you'll miss the boat. If you don't apply for the job now, you'll miss the boat. If you don't apply for the job now, you'll miss the boat, which means if you do not apply for the job now, you'll miss the golden opportunity, the opportunity of getting the job, the opportunity of getting employed. And that's about it, guys. So in today's video, you learned 10 beautiful, interesting, and advanced English idioms that you can use to be able to speak like native speakers. Thank you for watching the video up to this point. I kindly want you to like this video in support of this channel, and thanks to those who do this all the time. That means the world to me. You guys liking these videos means the world to me. Don't forget to subscribe and also leave a comment down below by telling me from which country, from which beautiful country in the world you're watching my videos. I'll be back soon.